Zola was a stunning girl with looks that were admired and envied across her town. She possessed a sweet and pleasant demeanor, radiating warmth and kindness to everyone she encountered. As she gracefully moved through her town, whether on her way to school or running errands for her parents, she always wore a smile and greeted her neighbors with waves of cheer. One day, a parcel arrived from Zola's Aunt Ima, who resided in a far-off land, filled to the brim with gifts. Zola exclaimed, "Mom, look at all these wonderful gifts from Aunt Ima. I can hardly wait to see what she sent." Nestled among the new garments and footwear for the family lay a special treasure for each member: toys for her brothers, perfume for her mother, a watch for her father, and, most notably, a long, jet black lace wig for Zola. Excitedly, Zola proclaimed, "Mom, Dad, it's the wig. Just like Aunt Ima's." Having seen her aunt's glamorous photos donning a similar wig, Zola had long harbored a desire for one of her own. Donning the wig, Zola admired herself in the mirror, reveling in the way the glossy locks cascaded down her shoulders, transforming her into the glamorous star she'd always aspired to be. With newfound confidence and style, she emerged from her room, ready to seize the day. While her mother had insisted that Zola's natural beauty was more than enough, her parents and brothers rejoiced in seeing her delighted by her aunt's thoughtful gift. Little did they know the surprises that lay ahead. Strutting through town with her wig family in place, Zola exuded confidence and allure. As she passed by her friends Era and Ife, they called out to her, eager to hear about her new accessory. However, lost in her own exhilaration, Zola brushed past them, thinking to herself, "Not today. Today, I'm too busy reveling in the fabulousness of my new wig." The next day, Zola energetically walked 2 miles to school in her shimmering new wig. Everyone in the quaint town admired her grace as she strode by. They cheerfully waved and warmly greeted her, but Zola, lost in thought, did not respond to them. By the time Zola arrived at school, she was drenched in sweat, feeling overheated, and the wig was tangled and bunched, yet people still admired her fashionable new hairstyle. Era and Ife curiously asked Zola about her stylish wigs, and she eagerly gave them all the glamorous details. Zola went into the bathroom to look at her hair and was surprised it did not look as flawless as when she initially put it on. She thought to herself, "Tomorrow I will bring my brush and brush it once every hour." All day in school, Zola could not pay attention to her teacher Mr. Sankara. All she could think about was how stunning she must have looked in her wig. She wondered if Era and Ife were envious of her. She wished she could get them a wig just like hers. On the way home from school, even though it was blisteringly hot, Zola proudly kept her wig on. She firmly decided then that she would not be seen without her new, special wig. She felt fantastic in it and wanted others to see how radiant she felt. Zola did notice that as she was walking home her head was uncomfortably hot and a bit itchy, but she attributed it to wearing the wig and the scorching midday sun. After school, Zola stood in the kitchen donning her new lace wig with an air of exhilarated excitement. She set about cooking and cleaning, feeling like a glamorous diva in her own home. She pretended to be a movie star who was doing chores while her maid was away on vacation. As she deftly chopped vegetables and meticulously wiped down counters, the wig's long, flowing locks swayed with her graceful movements, adding an extra touch of enchanting glamour to her mundane chores. However, as the minutes ticked by, Zola began to feel a nagging, irritating sensation on her scalp. At first, it was just a faint itch, but soon it escalated into an unbearable discomfort. She tried to ignore it, focusing intently on her tasks, but the itch persisted, growing more intense with each passing moment. Just as Zola was about to succumb to the overwhelming urge to scratch, her mother entered the kitchen, her expression a mix of stern concern and slight annoyance. "Zola, what are you doing wearing that wig in the house?" she demanded, her voice tinged with unmistakable disapproval. "You know it's not good for your scalp. Take it off this instant." Zola's heart sank as she heard her mother's stern words. She had been so excited about her new wig, but now it seemed like her mother didn't approve. Feeling a surge of deep frustration and acute hurt, Zola reluctantly removed the wig, revealing her natural hair underneath. Tears welled up in her eyes as she placed the wig aside. She no longer felt like a glamorous movie star but rather just a plain maid. The next day, despite her mother's stern insistence that she not wear the wig to school and the unbearable, persistent itchiness she felt, Zola decided to defiantly wear the wig again, determined to prove that she could rock it with unabashed confidence. As she walked to school, the relentless itch on her scalp seemed even more intolerable than before, causing her to squirm uncomfortably. As she reached the school gates, Zola spotted Boji, a boy from her class, approaching her with a warm, friendly smile. "Hey, Zola. What is that on your head?" he laughed. "I like your hair better the way it was before," he said, gesturing towards her head. "You don't need the wig to look amazing." Normally, Zola would have loved that attention from Boji, but today it just annoyed her. How dare he suggest her glamorous wig was not amazing? She figured he was just a naive boy and did not appreciate such sophisticated things. Her temper flared at his comment. She had been through enough already with her mother's stern disapproval and didn't need someone else telling her what was best for her. "Mind your own business, Boji," she snapped, brushing past him with a fierce scowl. Throughout the day, the itchiness persisted, distracting Zola from her classes and making her irritable with her classmates. Mr. Sankara even scolded her during math and told her she was not paying attention. Zola did not care. She thought glamorous movie stars don't need math anyway. Throughout the day, Zola noticed that her scalp became itchier and more unbearable. By the time she was ready to walk home in the blistering midday sun, it felt like fire ants were burrowing inside her head. Zola hurried home so that she could take the wig off instantly. She thought to herself, "I've got to get this wig off expeditiously," but to her dismay, when she tried to take the wig off, it felt like it was fused to her scalp. Zola had to run her head under the running water to coax the wig off her head. With trembling hands, Zola reached up to remove the wig, the desperate need for relief overpowering her desire to maintain appearances. As the cool air kissed her bare scalp, a soothing sense of relief washed over her, dispelling the dizzying haze that had clouded her mind. She closed her eyes, taking deep breaths to steady herself, immensely grateful for the respite from the suffocating heat that had threatened to consume her. When she finally removed it, she breathed a deep sigh of relief, and it seemed like her scalp did too. Zola carefully brushed the wig and put rollers in it, as tomorrow was the grand festival for the town. This was the time when the townspeople wore their best outfits to come dance and revel around. This was Zola's favorite time of the year, and she knew she was going to wear her brand new wig with one of the exquisite new outfits that her aunt had sent her. The next day, Zola had a series of mundane chores to complete for her mother. She yearned to put her wig on as she walked through the bustling town to buy essentials, but she decided that she wanted to ensure it was absolutely perfect for the evening festivities. Reluctantly, she left it at her house and donned a simple baseball cap as she ventured through the town to run errands for her mother. Normally, Zola, who was known to be sweet and would amiably greet everyone as she roamed through the town, would hold her head up high. However, today she felt awkward and self-conscious without her wig. She kept her head down and refrained from speaking to anyone. Her friend Boji, spotting her as she walked into Mrs. Anton's convenience store, eagerly said, "Zola, want to dance with me tonight at the festival?" Zola kept her head down and did not respond. Boji repeated, a bit louder, "Hey Zola, want to dance with me tonight at the festival?" Zola replied firmly, "Boji, go away. I will not be dancing with you." Boji felt humiliated and vowed to never talk to Zola again. Zola returned home and decided that she was going to start getting ready for the festival. She slipped into a brand new outfit that her aunt had sent and even spritzed on some of her mother's delicate perfume. It was time to put on the showstopper, her new wig. She placed the wig on her head, carefully removed the rollers, and styled it into a stunningly beautiful style. She felt utterly glamorous and noticed, with relief, that her head was not itching. Her mother, father, and brothers all told her that she looked stunning, but her mother remarked, "Zola, you should wear your real hair. Your real hair is beautiful, this wig looks silly." Zola thought to herself, "Oh mama, you don't understand, you are out of touch and don't know what's in fashion." She could not voice those thoughts aloud to her mother. Instead, she simply said, "No, mommy, I want to wear this wig. I think I look good in it." Her mother responded, "Suit yourself," and left to head to the festival. At the festival, Zola joined some of her school friends in a vibrant area, but they seemed unusually distant and uninterested in talking to her. Zola assumed they were just envious because they saw her sporting her dazzling new wig. Thinking confidently, "I can make new friends," she left that group and ventured off to explore the other exciting activities at the festival. She noticed Boji out of the corner of her eye, and when they made eye contact, he quickly looked away and remained silent. She thought to herself, "I don't need to talk to him, boy bye." Zola stepped into the lively, festive atmosphere, her new lace wig adding a touch of sophisticated elegance to her appearance. As she strolled through the throngs of bustling crowds, she couldn't help but notice the curious glances and hushed whispers that followed her every move. It seemed like all eyes were on her, and she swelled with pride at the attention. With each passing moment, however, a relentless itch began to gnaw at Zola's scalp, growing more intense with every step she took. Yet, despite the nagging discomfort, she pushed the sensation to the back of her mind, determined to savor the moment of feeling gorgeous and admired. As the festivities carried on, the itchiness escalated into a fiery torment, as if tiny, scorching flames danced upon her scalp. But Zola refused to let it dampen her spirits. She tossed her head back with a laugh, twirling in her newfound confidence. However, as she wandered deeper into the heart of the vibrant festival, a wave of dizziness washed over her, causing her steps to falter. Panic gripped her as she stumbled towards a nearby chair, her head spinning and her vision blurring. Droplets of sweat formed on her brow, mingling with the itchiness that now felt like an inferno raging upon her scalp. As she was sitting down, Zola's father passed by and noticed that she was looking unwell. He asked, "Zola, what's the matter?" She replied, "Oh father, I don't feel so well." Her father helped her up and walked her to their house. He led her to her bed and told her to take a bath and put on her pajamas while he went to get her mother. Zola got up to go to bed, but as she stood up, she passed out. When her mother and father returned, they found Zola on the floor. Zola's mother screamed, "Oh my God, is she alive?" She rushed to Zola and lifted her head, and Zola weakly woke up a bit. She said, "Mom, I really don't feel well." Her mother responded, "Okay, first let me help you by taking off this foolish hair." As her mother tried to peel the wig back, she noticed it felt stuck, so she tried again, and it would not budge. Zola said, "Mama, the last time I had to wet it to get it off." So Zola's mother fetched a bucket of water and threw it on Zola's head to loosen the wig. As she tried to peel it back, she noticed the wig was coming off more easily. She felt relieved until she realized that Zola's hair was coming off with the wig too. Her mother started screaming, and then her father ran into the room, and he started screaming too. Her mother peeled off the wig, and all of Zola's hair came off with it. Zola was now bald. With the wig removed, they could see that Zola's head had distressingly swollen to twice its normal size. Her mother nearly fainted when she saw the alarming extent of the swelling. Frantically, her mother instructed her father to quickly fetch their neighbor Henri, who was a knowledgeable herbalist. It took Zola's father 10 anxious minutes to return with Henri, who had been at the festival joyfully dancing with the rest of the neighborhood. When Henri entered the room and saw Zola, he stumbled and stepped back, needing to be steadied by Zola's father. He cautiously approached Zola and informed her parents that he believed he had some herbal medicine that could help. At this critical point, Zola was delirious, unaware of what was happening around her. Henri swiftly prepared herbal concoction and placed it in a tincture, instructing Zola's mother to administer 1 drop on the hour, every hour, for the next 48 hours. He emphasized that Zola should not be left alone and they needed to vigilantly watch her to ensure that she did not succumb to her condition. While Zola drifted in and out of consciousness, she lost all bodily functions. It was a precarious and touch-and-go situation for Zola over the next 48 hours. Her eyes were painfully swollen shut, and her head remained alarmingly swollen, but around hour 49, she finally seemed to start showing signs of recovery. Her head size began to decrease, and her eyes slowly started opening. Her mother diligently continued administering the tincture for the next 48 hours until Zola returned to her normal state. Her brothers anxiously watched her from the doorway, terrified that their beloved big sister might not survive. Once Zola had recovered, her mother entered the room with a handheld mirror, bearing somber news. Zola said, I know, Mama. The wig, it made my head itch and swell, and it just made me sick, and I'm never going to wear it again," but she was unaware of the full extent of the damage. Her mother then revealed the devastating news that as she had peeled off the wig, it had also stripped Zola's hair, leaving her completely bald. She handed Zola the mirror. Slowly, with disbelief, Zola brought the mirror up to her face. As she held the mirror in one hand, with her other hand she touched her bare scalp, looked in the mirror, and let out a piercing scream, a scream that echoed through the town. Zola could not believe her eyes. In a fit of distress, she hurled the mirror across the room, and it shattered into 1,000 pieces. Her mother cried out in horror at the action. Her father and brothers rushed into the room as Zola continued screaming and yelling. They all embraced her, trying to offer consolation, assuring her that her hair would grow back soon, but Zola could not stop sobbing. When she finally ceased screaming, she crossed the room, picked up a piece of the shattered glass, and looked at herself again, feeling ugly and foolish, unable to believe that a lace wig had ruined her appearance. She told her parents, "We have to move away from this town. I cannot let anyone see me like this," but her parents insisted, "Zola, we are not leaving. You must face what you have done." Zola stayed inside for many days, until the headmaster of the school visited and sternly stated, "You must return to school, or I will have to put your parents in jail." Zola did not want her parents to face jail because of her actions, so she reluctantly agreed to go to school. The next day, she dressed somberly and prepared herself early in the morning. She walked to school while it was still dark outside, hoping to avoid the prying eyes of anyone from the town. She arrived at school before the teachers, the headmaster, and everyone else, and she silently sat in the back of the room with her head down. As the teacher conducted the morning roll call, she called Zola's name, and Zola whispered, "Here." Her classmates all turned around and stared at the noticeably bald girl in the back of the room, bursting into loud, uncontrollable laughter. Students were rolling on the floor, overwhelmed with laughter. In distress, Zola fled from the school and ran back home. She told her mother and father, "I cannot and will not go to school." However, it was too late. The headmaster had already called the constable, who handcuffed Zola's parents. Zola screamed, pleading, "Please do not do this. Please, please, I will go to school, I will go to school bald-headed." The constable released her parents and sternly warned, "This is your last and final chance. You must go to school every day, or I will be back for your parents." Zola wept bitterly that night, but she realized that she could not let her parents suffer because of her. The next morning, she got up at the usual time and walked to school. People in the town pointed, looked, and laughed at her as she passed by. Even Boji, who had previously been kind to her, joined in with side-splitting laughter. But Zola knew she had to overcome this. She walked into school, sat at the front of the room, and ignored everyone around her. She focused on her lessons with the teacher and excelled, topping her class that day. During lunch, her old friends did not speak to her, and Zola was okay with that. She resolved to return to being the same sweet and pleasant person she was before the lace wig had affected her. Day by day, Zola went to school with her head held high, filled with quiet pride, and gradually, her hair began to grow back. Her friends slowly started talking to her again. Although Zola was upset that the kids had laughed at her when she was bored, she also recognized that she had been very unpleasant and mean-spirited while wearing the lace wig. After apologizing to Boji for how she had treated him, he forgave her, and their friendship began to mend. He even invited Zola to the movies. Meanwhile, as Zola's hair gradually began to grow back, she became increasingly confident, evolving into both a reminiscent version of the old Zola and a refreshed, self-assured new Zola, one who understood that a lace wig does not define her identity. Her academic performance improved markedly, and her teacher even began discussing the possibility of her applying to colleges. Zola could hardly believe her ears, as she had always harbored a dream of going to college to pursue a career as a doctor. Her family remained content and supportive throughout this period. The family came to understand that Zola had suffered an allergic reaction to the dye in the first lace wig. Her aunt continued to send gifts to the family, and eventually sent Zola a new lace wig. Months after her ordeal, Zola cautiously decided to try the new wig. The new wig was elegantly styled and beautifully crafted, enhancing her appearance whenever she chose to wear it. Zola wore the wig selectively, treating it as just another accessory in her wardrobe. She felt empowered by the freedom to choose when and if she wore it, never feeling obligated or compelled to wear it for the sake of others' approval. This newfound approach allowed Zola to express herself creatively and confidently, whether she was sporting her natural hair or adorning the stylish wig. Her relationship with her appearance had matured, marked by a serene acceptance and an invigorating sense of self-control. Zola lived happily ever after, embracing her true self and looking forward to a bright future. Moral: the moral of this story is the importance of self-acceptance, humility, and resilience in the face of adversity. Zola, initially admired for her beauty and kindness, becomes consumed by the allure of the lace wig. She becomes obsessed with external appearances and seeks validation from others, neglecting the love and support of her family and friends. In the end, Zola emerges stronger and wiser, understanding that her worth is not determined by her hair or external beauty, but by her character, resilience, and ability to overcome challenges. The story highlights the importance of embracing one's true self, finding inner strength, and never letting external pressures define one's sense of worth. 1 Peter 3 verses 3-4 Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. Thank you for watching Stories by Key. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, please leave a comment about what you learned from this story. Until next time.